A Word and an Update. November 6, 2020 by Anna von Reitz. The first word is an apology. I am behind all efforts to reply to correspondence or even get thank you notes sent out. It has been and it continues to be crazy busy here, and I am continuing to work as hard as I can, but, even with lots of helpers, I am still just one old lady and can't always, or often, keep up with all cards and letters, packages, and correspondences of other kinds. Please bear with me. I very much appreciate the outpouring of historical documents and the donations toward all our present projects. In part because of the outpouring of historical documents and the spread of our outreach to other countries, I have recently received more missing pieces that support and provide evidence for all that I have taught you, and also provide more insight into the history of the Confederation, the Federal Republic, and the courts. These are all topics of urgent concern and consideration that require equally urgent study on my part and on the part of those researchers who have been specialists in these areas for years prior to this. Of course, we have had the big picture for quite a while, but we are now drilling down into the deeper levels of the Great Fraud, and that is expanding our understanding of what happened and who the moving parties were and much else that was either unclear or unknown about prior to this. Let me just say that the politicians have threatened the corporations with the ability to tax and regulate them, and the corporations have responded by becoming the lapdogs of the politicians. However, we have the right and responsibility to liquidate any corporation caught operating in an unlawful manner. Unlike the state legislatures and governors who would have to undertake a lengthy antitrust or anti-monopoly suit approach, the people of each state, as opposed to state, can directly rescind the charters of any corporation formed in our state, and can liquidate for cause any such entity. Even if the offending corporation was not formed in our state, we can withdraw permission for any corporation to operate in our state. Thus, if Monsanto, for example, was chartered in our state of the Union, we could, upon demonstrating good and sufficient cause, pull the charter and liquidate Monsanto. Alternatively, if Monsanto was not chartered in our state, but has been operating in our state and causing our people harm or ruining natural resources, or is caught in some other criminal act, we can impose prohibitions against it and not allow it to do business in our state of the Union. These are the prerogatives of living people versus the legalistic prerogatives of the state organizations, which are themselves corporations. From what I see happening, the elections were hopelessly bungled and no good or rapid result is likely. If Biden claims victory and actually acts to enforce the voter fraud, then he and all those involved become liable to serve 50 years in prison and pay substantial fines. Strangely, the crime hasn't actually been committed and caused injury until he does. The moment that happens, the crime is established. This is a situation like Governor Jay Inslee being sued over his overreaching and mask mandates. He didn't enforce his proclamations, so he couldn't be charged. Anyone who obeyed his proclamation in the absence of enforcement was doing so voluntarily. It's the same thing with the election fraud and tampering. They can count votes and not count votes, and all sorts of different things can go on, but until they actually try to claim victory and enforce bogus results, no injury has been done. It's all just words, claims and counterclaims, until then. Think of it like a giant game of chicken. If the Dems cheated and there is proof of it and Biden claims victory, his rump and the rumps of all his helpers are in the ringer. Big time. So expect the whining and posturing and vote counting and lawsuits and posturing and insult trading to continue for a long time. And expect all sorts of unrest and civil disobedience and other upsets in the meantime. Also expect secondary creditors of the United States, Inc., to start sending you all humongous bills, misaddressed in various ways to municipal persons who are only presumed to exist. These bills are beginning to show up addressed to names styled as last, first middle, or even to last, first, middle initial. Some of them, which have been embroidered with additional fines and late fees and interest, etc., are truly gigantic. Picture the hapless homeowner receiving a tax bill for $500,000, when to the best of their knowledge, all their bills are paid up. This is going to be happening all over this country, and you must be ready for it. First and foremost, get yourselves back on the land and soil and join your state assembly, and then secure the land patent, or in the eastern United States, the land grant, underlying your homes and businesses. The United States land patents were issued by the United States of America Incorporated in our names and using our authorities, which means that those patents remain ours now that we are in session, and as of November 4, 2015, all those patents have been reissued and assigned to the states of the Union. And as of September 30, all the states are properly enrolled retroactive to the day their statehood was approved. This means that you are all protected by our action and your patent isn't going to just disappear, but you must nonetheless claim your birthright political status, record it, and ferret out your land patent or land grant records. It's also best to join your actual state assembly, not any district assembly, and have the support of other Americans and the actual land and soil jurisdiction government of your state of the Union. Go to www.theamericanstatesassembly.net to get started. Mr. Trump has bought you 2 months extra time to get your ducks in order. We strongly suggest that you move quickly in your own defense and that you order a big red ink stamp that simply says, "No contract," that you can use to return municipal bills that are misaddressed to you. As for Mr. Biden and his helpers, they are facing very substantial prison time if they try to carry through with this squirrel-rigged election process, a fact that they are well aware of, and perhaps simply trying to kill time until they can secure a new municipal corporation and begin to run it around the 3rd week of March. Truth be told, it looks like a giant setup, with both the territorial and municipal corporation personnel engaged in an effort to delay action until then. It also looks like the election process has failed for the first time in our history, and perhaps no more obvious sign of that is the refusal to allow poll watchers to observe the counting process. Those of you of a certain age will remember many occasions wherein the United States and the United Nations sent in poll observers in many, many foreign countries, to ensure that people had access to the polls and to guarantee a legitimate election process. What does it say, when poll observers are not allowed to do the same function for United States elections?